kind of wait, see if we can get some folks to show up in here. We're gonna basically give us the old mountain bike tune up. I've already done a lot of the fun stuff. Been out in the cold, gave it a bath, and we gave all the parts a bath over here. So I got everything kind of cleaned up, ready to go. We got our new parts laid out over here. We're going to put on a new crank set, some new cables, new bottom bracket, brake pads, new chain and cassette. Freshen it up a good bit. There was a spoke. We had to replace a spoke on one of the wheels, so we got that. What's up? Encore Arcade in the house. You staying warm up there? Dude, we got like 6, 7 inches of snow. But anyway, here's my bicycle. I'm going to get you up on the stand over here. It's very unusual to get as much snow as we did yesterday in Memphis. There we go. All right. I'm going to fire up my laptop. Maybe I can see the chat behind me. That way if somebody says anything. Let's see. I'm going to turn down my volume. All right. There we go. Maybe I can keep up with chat now. Hopefully I won't eat up all my bandwidth and ruin my video. This, you hear that? That bearing's just not in the most awesome shape. We're going to be taking care of that. I think we'll go ahead and start off kind of just stripping some of the old parts off, getting the old cables off, and then we'll kind of start cleaning and taking care of stuff. All right. Let's get this old crank set up here real quick. This is just a kind of a cheap little thing, but it's a crank set puller. Hopefully you can see that there. But the big part kind of threads into the crank set itself. And then once you get it on there, I can get it to start. There we go. Once you get that on there and you've got several threads deep, then you can come back with this and it goes in and pushes against the bottom bracket. I was hoping that would just take that right off there. There we go. I always think that little drill's going to do more than what it does. Alright, there's one side off. This crank set we're getting rid of it. It's just a low end crank set. Instead of having bolts or whatever where you can actually change the chain rings when they wear out, these are all riveted on. So there's nothing you can do with it. It's just disposable crank. And the chain had enough wear on it. And these teeth, the favorite gear there, it looks like, I don't know. I just didn't think it would be good to keep that. So that's where it goes. So is it cold in Illinois, Josh? Yo, what's up, Dragon Ball guy? We're just sitting here working on this mountain bike. Oh, this one's gonna come off way easier. I said that. I wouldn't call this way easier. I gotta be careful. I got my car right over here behind the stand. Got a brand new radiator. I sure don't want to hurt that. Cool, Dragon Ball guy, man. I appreciate all the subs, any watches. Man, this YouTube thing, it's a real struggle. This right here, trash. Done. Donezo. All right, we got to go ahead and take our bottom bracket out. Should already had my bottom bracket tool ready. All right. Oh. Pardon me while I search for tools that I put somewhere. Let's see if this is good. These are fun to get out sometimes. Oh, I need to start with those subs. This isn't really the right thing for this. Oh yes. Is that the reverse side? It is. Look at that. Come on out of there. Man, these bottom brackets can be fun to get out sometimes. Snow, it just changed into dripping. Yeah, man, our snow yesterday, we got like almost 7 inches. And man, it was big old, it was the thick, wet snow. And when it started warming up, it started melting. But then it got cold again last night, so. All right. Whoops, wrong wrench. Oh, wait. God. This is a struggle. Struggle. Let's try this. God. Now, I don't miss these old bottom brackets a bit. I'm just trying to get to move it all. Man. Ah, there we go. I win. So this right hand side, you can see it's actually a reverse thread. I'm screwing it like I'd be tightening it, but it's loosening on the drive side. But yeah, man, this thing, it's roasted. You almost hear it rattling. But trash. In the trash. Alright, so that's off of there. Let's go ahead and Get this little cable out of there. I'm gonna try to go ahead and pull me a cable through with this one to give me a easy way to get the cable back through there. Sometimes chasing cables through the bike frame is a pain in the buttocks. Nas Redna, what's up, man? All Dad's in here. Hey there, young man. What's up, Dad? That thing's super tight. Yeah, it was ridiculous how tight the bottom brackets. Man, they can be so stuck. And it all depends on what people have done. I mean, I can look inside of this frame right here, and there's half of a gravel road from somewhere sitting in there. Come on, there we go. Don't let me down. Don't let me down. No, you let me down. You let me down. I knew it. Well, we'll do it the more fun way later. So much for trying to make it easy. It's just the way it goes. Just the way it goes. All right. So the housing, the length of the housing and stuff on this bike looked pretty good where it was, so I'm not looking to change it. So I'll probably just kind of keep this, and I'll make the new housing the same length. Makes it easy. No sense in overthinking it. All right, so that's my rear housing. The front, makes me not even want to try to chase it through there. We will though. I've got this little kit Part Tool makes, and it's got all kinds of little chase lines, magnets on the end, and little cups on the end, and this is the one that we'll take for the housing. This housing on this one runs all the way through. The one on the bottom, the housing actually has stops on each end, and it's just the cable that's going through. But this one, the housing's going all the way through. So this little chase wire has kind of like a little, I don't know if it's focusing or not, but it's got kind of like a little barb on the end that you can kind of screw into the housing, and it locks onto it, and it should come on through. But the last one I tried to use just tape to hold it because it was just the end of the little cable itself. I've probably been better off putting a magnet on the end of it. Alright. We can go ahead and pull the wire itself out there. Put that little barb up in there. Just put your little barb in. And come on through for me. There we go. Hey, it worked. So now getting that other piece of housing back through should, in theory, be much easier because I can just hook to that and drag it through. There's my front housing. Cool. So I've already kind of given the bike a bath. It probably isn't going to hurt to kind of give it a little bit better bath. Let's go ahead and get these cables out of our way though. These shifters, my favorite brand, Trek. Trek is a good brand. Oh, those have the screw head. Take a little Phillips screwdriver. It's like a little cover, just a little rubber cover more or less. But you can take your screwdriver and just kind of back it out of there and drop it on the floor and just forget about it. Because, yeah. All right, there we go. But it's just a tiny little plug that just threads in. Does everybody make noises when they bend over? Is that just me? Just gonna set those off to the side. Tell you what, I'm gonna set them over here. I've got over here off the side, I got a small parts kind of little tray that I drop any little small stuff that I take off the bike that I don't want rolling off on the floor. Just kind of throw it in there. Alright, so you want the shifters to be bottomed out, basically in the release button you want it to be all the way down. And then these will just come right out of there. Just come right out of there. Same thing over here. Yep, there we go. Oh. Sometimes the end of the wire inside the shifter gets so kind of like kinked. Kind of gets a curve to it. And it makes it not want to line up the little hole. So sometimes you got to kind of play with the levers and it'll find it. Some people like a little curve in it. How many folks we got hanging out in here? 14 people hanging out in here. Well, welcome to 9 Finger Wrenching. Happy Saturday to y'all. We're in Memphis, Tennessee. This is what we do here. We take care of business. Yep. All right. Man, that is nasty up in there. I don't even want to use those rags. Oh. So, rags cost money. So in the shop, there's like a hierarchy of ragdom. So there's brand new rags that won't do anything but touch like disc brake, just rubbing something off with like alcohol or cleaner. And then they step down to, maybe they'll be used with a degreaser on something. And then they'll step down to where it's totally a grease rag. And it just keeps on going until it finally ends up in the trash. And this right here was just a bunch of mess. I'm gonna get that cleaned out of there. Oh yeah. I think this bike has been in some muddy gravel events. Alright, so we got all that stuff out of the way. I am going to go through and kind of give the bike a better wipe down. I'm going to go ahead and start kind of wiping the fork down. We're going to get into this headset just a little bit and kind of clean it up, maybe put some fresh grease on it, and work our way to the back of the bike. So, what are we going to get here? For just basic wiping the bike down, I always like just a pink bike wash. It does a good job lifting the dirt, and it's not real super abrasive, but at the same time, it's enough to actually clean the bike. So you don't have to go crazy with it. You can just kind of mist it on whatever you're working on. Now, Remember, I've already been out to like the hose and kind of gave it a bath, so to speak. But for just getting in and really getting all the dirt out of little cracks and crevices and places, and giving the bike a little bit more of a detail. You know, you gotta get the microfiber, and you gotta get some spray. You gotta get in there and get after it. And just give it a good wipe everywhere. And there's lots of places you gotta really look at. Up behind that neck right there, on the back side of the fork, get a lot of mess right there. These tubes on your shocks, it's good to kind of wipe them down on a regular basis. You've got scrubbers down here and stuff that try to keep the dirt from getting in and messing with the operation of the fork itself. But the more often you clean this, the less problems you'll have down the road. This is not a very high-end fork. This is just a coil sprung fork. It does have a lockout in a preload setting, but that's it. This at the time, brand new, was probably like a $800 and something mountain bike, you know. It's got a 9-speed drivetrain, hydraulic disc brakes, coil sprung fork with a lockout. This is it's bike shop quality bike, so it's a good bike. It's just like maybe one notch above like entry level bike shop bike. Shoot, now I don't even know what the prices are. I've been out of the bike shop world for a couple years now. Alright, let's just move on down the frame real quick. Don't want to hose down my Mustang. Last Saturday, we went live in the garage and started our project car for the first time. That was fun. It's cold outside right now. I don't want to open the garage door. She was sounded good, man. She sounded real good. But, you know, got a little fine tuning to do. I think I've got the timing set pretty good. Probably got a little bit more work to do though. I tried to do a base idle reset and some other kind of like tuning procedures on it, but working on cars and stuff is a whole brand new thing for me. Working on bicycles, I did that for a good, well, I've worked on bicycles my whole life. I started doing that when I was a little kid, taking my bike apart and repainting it and putting it back together. But as far as actually working in bike shops, I guess I was probably doing it about 12 years. It was kind of one of those things where I loved riding bikes, so I was going to do something you love and you'll never work a day. It's kind of the route I decided to go, and it was a blast. I enjoyed working in bike shops. Well, there's a lot of water right in there. Still kind of hanging out the back side of that fork. So we can't make some of that kind of come out of there. Okay, that's looking a little better. Old mountain bikes, they got a lot of love marks. I'm not doing anything elaborate on the headset, but I do want to just kind of pop it apart, maybe clean it and put some fresh grease on it. It feels fine, almost don't want to mess with it at all, but seeing the rest of the bike and just knowing that it hadn't really seen any service, so to speak, in a good while, I think we're going to go ahead and get off in it. So all this is basically, the way this is this fork shaft comes through the frame. There's a bearing on the top and the bottom of this head tube. There's a few spacers. The clamp of the stem itself is what holds it all together. This bolt right here on top, it's what you use to kind of tension everything down to get it kind of all matched down tight. And then you tighten that down and it's where it's supposed to be. Simplicity. Oh look, man, that's bad. I can't see anymore. Grabbing wrong wrenches. All right. It is pretty. Not too bad in there. Something's stuck though, which is why we do this. All right, really don't want that hanging there on those hydraulic lines. Where's my stool? Let's let it rest. Rest right there. That's better than just dangling. Nothing wrong with dangling if that's what you like, but tug on your hose. Let's see what else we got in here. Clean towel rags, salvage rags, and rebuildable. Years ago, most important rags were sweat rags. Boy, man, ain't that the truth. Hooray, Rat, what's up? Man, cool. Moving on. All right, there we go, we're out. Yeah, I'm glad we did this. These definitely could use a little bit of love. Nothing too extreme, but these are old school bearings. Most of your headset bearings now are sealed bearings, but these right here are just caged, good old caged open bearings. All right, so I'm going to start off just kind of cleaning the top around that fork right there. What do we want to use? We'll get a little simple green, I guess. It's not really my preferred degreaser for this type of grease. Normally I use, but it's the foam I like for what we're doing right here. I like the fact that I can kind of get the foam, let it sit on there a second. I'd rather have like a citrus degreaser or something that kind of cuts the grease a little more, but this rag itself, the microfiber, will do a lot of work here where the degreaser kind of quits. It's almost like it, yeah, a little bit of score and some rust on that. We could hit it with a Brillo pad if it's very bad. It's not horrible. All right, stay there, stay there. This, I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna dip this in my parts washer real quick. I'll be right back. My parts washer, if you can hear me, I just had it full of mineral spirits. Is all it is. But it does a great job breaking stuff up. Especially if I take the time to turn it on and let it heat, it'll warm up, and the warmth kind of helps cut all that too. Well, a lot of gunk come off there, but you know, that looks a lot better, don't it? I got a little grease gun. Got some Phil Woods waterproof grease. And I'm just gonna kind of pack the bearing, the inside of the ring with this little squirt gun. And do the old school way and put a bunch of it in your palm and sit there and pack it in, but this little grease gun squirts it in there pretty good. Probably not as good, but as good enough. Whenever you find out there's a way, folks have been doing it for years and years, man, there's, you know, it's a possibility there's a better way with technology and stuff like that, but I don't know. There's high percentage of the time it's folks have already figured out the best way, and that's just get in there and do it. Is Dad still in here? He'll be chiming in on that one. Man, I used to think I was so smart on a job site, building houses. They'd tell me how to do it, and man, I'd sit and think hard about some better way to do it. There's gotta be, there's gotta be a better way. And so, you know, I think sometimes I may come up with something or a different way. But yeah, that's a whole nother video there. All right, clean this mess up. Get that old grease out of there. Clean up that lower cup. Well, let's go ahead. I'm going to load a little bit of grease kind of around the inside of that ring. I'm going to do the same thing down here. I'm not going crazy with it. Well, that was crazy. I'm just trying to get a good little kind of small bed of grease around the inside of that bearing. What model is that? Man, this is a lady's bike. Trek made a women specific bike. It's called the Cali at one point. This is the Cali S. It's for a friend of mine. I sold her this bike. And she had not gotten a tune up on it in a good while. So she got a hold of me and wanted to know if I could tune it up for her, so. I see my dad in here in the chat. I figured he'd have something to say about that, because he was the one telling me, hurry up and just do it. Man, my favorite saying was, "Come on, son, we're not building pianos." That was a good one. Come on, son, we're not building pianos. Let's go. Some of the stuff we built was pretty enough. It could have been a piano. All right. Let's see. Get this stuff wiped down here. I fired my heater up for a good while out here in the garage before I started the live, hoping I won't need to warm it up while we're doing this. That blower, it's nice, but it makes a little noise. All right. Let's get this bearing loaded up. So I see it sounds like we got some actual mountain bikers in here with us today. What kind of bikes y'all got? Dude, my mountain bike is like, shit, 12 years old. I got a Cannondale Flash Carbon 2 with the lefty. That lefty fork. Dude, honestly, I didn't know what to think about it when I first got it. You know, that whole lefty thing, I always kind of thought was crazy. And man, once I rode it on the trails and I got used to it, I dug the lefty. That square tube that it operates on with the roller bearings all around it. I think it's got like 8 sets of roller bearings on each side of it, or all the way around it, and man, it stays functional in turns. A lot of times when you got a 2-legged fork, when you get into a turn, it binds a little bit and it doesn't operate. But that lefty, since there's only one tube and you get in a turn, there's not anything for it to bind against, and it continues to keep the tire stuck even when you're like throwing it into a turn. And I know I don't look like I've been throwing a bike into a turn lately, and I haven't, but I used to. I should again. I got a few pounds I need to alleviate from myself. Man, I started creeping up on 50 and all of a sudden things started coming at me. That's feeling better. Get our spacers back on there. So spacers, the steer tube, you know, a brand new fork comes a certain length, and you can either stack it up, you know, high, or you can trim it down. Like if you don't want these spacers, you can figure out where to trim it and cut it. This particular one has got a star nut on the inside of it, so you'd have to drive that star nut further down. But you know, you can make it shorter where your front end's lower. But my opinion on the fit and stuff on bikes is comfortable is fast. If you make yourself get in some, you know, supposed aerodynamic power position or something that you just can't stay in or can't maintain, then, you know, you're not really getting any benefit out of it. So, but if you can get in a position that you're comfortable in for hours, then and produce power and stuff, then you're a whole lot better off. So whenever you're tightening this down right here, it's just kind of a finesse thing. You want to snug it up, but you still want to feel like it's moving freely. You don't want to just tighten that thing down. It puts too much pressure on the bearings, and it's just not what you want. I'm gonna go ahead and snug this up. We'll have to reset it whenever we put it on the ground with the wheel on and all that, but for right now I'm gonna go ahead and tighten it down. I've gotten a habit of going ahead and tightening these because in the past I've forgotten and just not got back around to tightening them, thinking they're tight. So I find it best to just go ahead and tighten them. Come back to it later. All right. So we've got the bike cleaned up for the most part. Get this out. What we're gonna do now? Let's come back. Let's go ahead and route our cables. We've got this all cleaned up, greased up, put back together. We might as well route our cables, and then we'll move towards the back of the bike. So this cable kit, the first time I'm using this brand, there's a company called Jaguar that makes probably 90% of the cables and housing that you see on a lot of the bikes. And this company, they actually are making this housing for Originate. So supposedly it should be the same quality. We will see. All right, let's go ahead and take these down. Sometimes in these housings, in these cables, they'll send a short one and a long one. And I've gotten to where I like to look at them before I get started. You can imagine why, because I've grabbed the wrong one and started putting it in one and then found out I needed it on the other one. And if you've already trimmed one, and oh man, I knew a guy. I knew a guy that did that once, or twice. All right, so like this one. One's a lot longer than the other one. So this is going to be my front. And this is my rear. So that's my front. All right, so on your shifters, you probably know this, but your right hand shifter is your rear shifter, right rear. Your left hand shifter is your front shifter. Now, on the way this cable is routing, the front shifter is actually coming around and going to route this side, and the rear is going to come around the front and come in, go down the tube here. But anyway, let's go ahead and get this in here. Anybody in the chat? Wait till you pass 70. I'm leaving that up to the Lord. Alright, go ahead and put our front one in. Oh, right, and now's a good time to go ahead and kind of dial your adjusters back down. I like to take my adjusters and dial them all the way in and then just come out a couple of clicks. It kind of gives you, that way if you are a brute and you pull your cable too tight when you're locking it in, at least you got a little turn or two you can loosen it back up. I don't know any brutes, but I've heard about them. Come on. Sometimes I have to get a flashlight and hold it on the other side so I can see where to poke it. Dad, don't you start. needs his constitution. Okay, so he didn't hear that. All right. Let's start with our front. Since I've got this here, it's going to be easy to route. The bottom one may be a little more fun. All right, so this was our original housing for our front. So like I say, the length on everything seemed good, so we're just going to kind of go back with it. No reason in overthinking it. Here, let's look at this real quick. So as the housing, all right, shifter housing has got straight wires in the housing that run up and down with the housing. Brake housing has got spiral wires around the housing. So it kind of deals with the compression of the brake and makes the brake not like grabby. You know, it lets it kind of compress a little bit as you start to hit brake. The shifter housing, over time, the little strands start to work their way out. Some of them do. And you'll start seeing this where the wires are actually coming out of the plastic. So, you know, it was definitely time for some new housing. All right. I hear the tornado sirens going off out there. Must be noon. Noon on a Saturday. Wait, these are not what I want. Where's my cable cutters? Cable cutters. Cable cutters are a little different than just regular, you know, straight cutters or whatever. They close down from all sides, kind of. So it comes down and cuts the cable clean. And that's, you know, that's what you want. Because if you have just straight, it squishes it flat. And then that causes drag on your shifter cable. All right. Don't need that anymore. So, let's thread it up here. Man, these little things like this, you know, when they work out for you, as you saw a while ago, it didn't work out for the other side. But when you can do little extras like this, oh, did that really just happen? Live too. Why? What I was gonna say is when you can do little extras like that, it makes life easy on you. Magnet. Magnet is your friend. Because that's one of the cool things about aluminum and carbon frames. Steel frames, a little harder. That's actually how some of these cable things work. Like I say, it's got a magnet on the end, and then you've got a really strong magnet that you kind of pull, you drag that magnet and the cable through the frame. There we go. Alright, get this cable out of the way. Alright, let's open up our little bag of goodies here. Originate. Alright. Nice. Alright. Your ferrules, whenever you're pushing them on, you want to just try to get them on there just as far down as you can. Once we get everything hooked up, we'll compress them and make sure they're where they need to be before we do our final adjustment. But if you don't get these all the way on there, you'll go through and you'll set the whole thing up, you'll get everything adjusted, you'll take off riding or whoever will, and all of a sudden the shifting will go to crap because these things start pushing a little bit further down, so you lose your adjustment. So it's good to make sure that you get those like fully compressed on there. I don't like letting my little cables get on the floor, but before I ever put them in my housing, I like to drag it all the way through my finger in case there's any kind of like dust or debris that has gotten on it. And pay attention as you're threading the cable into the housing and make sure you're threading it through all of this the right way. All right. Go ahead and thread on our other stop here. Other ferrule. These are nice cable kits, it seems like. All right. It's ready for the front derailleur. Now we move on to the rear. Have some fun with this one, because we do have to fish it through. Let's see. Where's that coming from? This is the one that comes from the back and goes to the derailleur. Alright, so I need this one first. There again, we're just going back to the same size it was on there. I know this is a different kind of wrenching than what we normally do in here. This was kind of the original 9-finger wrenching when I started doing kind of mechanic work with bicycles. And then, man, I started watching these guys rebuilding like old Sea-Doos, like the old 1990s, the 2-strokes and stuff. And next thing you know, I'm on Marketplace and I see one and bid on it, and I bought a Sea-Doo. Danita was proud. Not really. But man, I really enjoyed learning how to fix up that ski, you know, doing the mechanic stuff. I just really enjoyed it. So I taught myself how to restore the old Sea-Doos and ended up doing several of them. Done a Sea-Doo boat. And I ended up going to an event down in Georgia called Sick Week. There's a guy named Derek Berry that has a channel called Vice Grip Garage. And man, I love watching Derek. And I make these wooden flags and stuff. So I ended up making a wooden flag with Derek's logo and taking it to him to Sick Week and giving it to him. But while I was there, man, I got bit by the car bug. I met all the cool people with cars, and I just had a big time. And just, man, the whole vibe at the drag strip was super cool to me. So I ended up deciding to get a project car. That's when we got the Mustang. All right, let's see if we can get lucky enough our magnet, because these cables are stainless steel. So a lot of times, I saw it a second ago, it came up, but then I jerked it back down too quick. And sometimes you can do this too, like pull the cable out and go to where you're going in, and then find out where you're wanting to come out, and then mark that length. Because that way, if you get in and you start kind of bouncing around, the tip of the cable will be closer to where you want it to come out, and you're more likely to accidentally poke it where you want it. Come on. Sorry, y'all, I didn't intend for us to have to do this because I tried to run my chase wire. I wonder if I could poke this magnet end in there and it grab the end of it and pull it out. Let's try that. All right. Oh, I'm way too, look at, it's poking out over here. That's part of my problem there. Yeah, I know this isn't super exciting, is it? I gotta get it done though. Oh, I feel the magnet on it. God. Come on. All right. I may have to just walk away from this for a minute and come back. Let's change the angle of the bike. Sometimes that helps. This is real life, y'all. So, I mean, I know it sucks. I'm hating to be sitting here doing this, but I can guarantee you if anybody's ever worked on a bike with internally routed cables, you've done this before. Try to turn it to where maybe gravity will be your friend and and it'll just poke out there. Get that magnet on it again. Man, y'all, is there anybody still in here? 12 people. I see the problem already. You need a 2.5 positive displacement power in the fuel system. Man, that's totally it. Oh, man. Yeah, noobs, I'm working on something a little different today. I agree with you, though. Man, I'm trying to get this cable routed through here, and it's being a butt about it. These are some of the struggles of bicycle mechanics. Yeah, this live is a little different speed than my normal channel stuff, but I was in here today and I was watching other people's lives doing all kinds of crazy stuff, and I was like, I gotta do this bicycle. I'll just go live and hang out with some folks. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna step away from this for a minute. Sometimes that's, honestly, I swear, you get in these situations and you fight and you struggle. Sometimes it's best just to walk away from it, and I swear you'll come back and it'll just happen. That it's just best to walk away sometimes. Let's go ahead and get some water out of here. I guess when I flipped the bike around, there was some water in the frame. Let's get our new bottom bracket. Alright. Grease, got a bunch of grease in it. That's what you want. Now there is a left side and a right side on the bottom bracket, so whatever that's worth. Still sounds a little crunchy, doesn't it? This thing, I think it gives you like a torque range of like 35 to 55. Whoops. Going the wrong way. So I think I put mine at like 48. Man, it sure sounds crunchy. This thing's caked up with a bunch of like factory kind of thread type stuff. Loctite stuff, I mean. Thread line. Whatever. Nice new bottom bracket. Man, it's gonna be like a new bicycle. Alright. New crank set. Pre-greased. This is another cheap crank set, by the way. It's riveted. You're not going to do anything but replace this crank set when you wear it out. But it is an upgrade over the last cheap riveted crank set, because this is a hollow top tech bottom bracket instead of a square taper. So hey, take your upgrades where you can get them, right? So these hollow tech crank sets, whether it's a road bike or mountain bike or whatever, there's a little plastic thing in here that you lift up. Whoops, from this side. It's got a little metal pin on it, and whenever you put it onto the bike, then you push that down. Let me get that thing popped up there. There you go. Oh, somebody's coming in. Oh,
Hello.
that's my wife. Hey. Hello, dear.
You live?
I am.
Okay. I was just letting you know I was here.
Okay. So anyway, just want you to know about that before you like go pulling one of these off. Make sure you pop that little thing up and don't just rip the little pin off the piece there. So this just slides on. And then you've got the end cap. The end cap on this crank set functions the same as this top cap on this fork. It's basically just squeezing everything together. You're not putting a whole bunch of torque on this or anything. It's just merely just kind of squeezing everything together to where it needs to be, and then you lock it in place with the actual bolts on the crank itself. There's a little tool made just for this little thing. But like I say, it's just real simple little thing, threads in there. And you tighten it up till everything gets squished up tight the way it's supposed to be. Snap your little plastic piece back down, and then torque your bolts on your crank. Which crank bolts does this tell me? Most of them have it on there. We'll just torque them wherever we want to. How's that? Oh gosh. We'll just torque them. I'm gonna say it's normally like 24, or no, 12, I mean. 12 newton meters. Is that 12? No, it's 13. There's 12. Alright, so I usually just kind of get one side sort of snugged up. Actually, I hit my mark on that one, but and then get the other one. And then go back, and you'll get a little bit more, because these two kind of work in unison. So I'll do that at least like one time, and then we should be good. There we go, man. That's functioning well. could go ahead and get our front derailleur. It's just a clamp on. Some derailleurs will be braze on, where the frame will actually have a brazed on mounting point for a front derailleur, and some will actually be clamp on. So if you're ever getting a new derailleur, that's one of the things you gotta know what you need. If it is a clamp on, you need to know what size your tube is, so you know what size clamp. And then in derailleurs, oh my gosh, top pull and bottom pull, and quite a few different options. Get this kind of snugged up. We'll talk about setting it up. I'll tighten it up in a minute, but so you want to see whenever you pull that derailleur over, you want to see just like a couple of millimeters between the teeth of the biggest ring and the cage, as far as like height goes. The cage itself, you want it to run parallel with your chain rings. So you want to eyeball that, look at that height, and then snug it down. Now the clamp derailleurs especially, braze-ons will do it to you too sometimes, but sometimes as you tighten it down, it'll pull your cage around a little bit, and you'll have to loosen it up and twist it and tighten it down again. So just kind of watch that as you're putting it on. This derailleur should still be set up basically for, I mean, it came off of this bike, all I did was take it off and clean it. Alright. Man, I can't see, I'm getting old. I found these last couple of years, all of a sudden I need more light. Just give me light so I can see. Okay. Got my cable routed back down there. I'm going to go ahead and snug it up if I can see where I laid my wrench. There it is. Didn't need that. Alright, let's see what happens here. Hey. Looking good, Billy Ray. Feeling good, Lewis. Alright, go ahead and snug that cable on up, because that seemed to be a pretty good spot for it there. All right, man, here we are. Guess what I need to do? I gotta go back to trying to get this rotten. Man, should I try something else? Here, let's pull it out again, size it where we need to be. This up here. Right there's where I need to come out. Right there's where I'm going in. All right. Where's my big magnet? Oh, here it is. we, all I gotta do is just get this done. Man, I saw it too. I mean, oh shoot. What else do I got here? Oh man, this is. Come on, don't you leave me. Don't you leave me! Ha ha! Sorry, y'all. That was grounds for celebration. All right. Let me catch up here. Question. Oh, I'm sorry, man. I didn't see this. Have you ever tried those fiberglass electric wire fishing rods? I hadn't. Park Tool makes a bicycle specific little chase lines, which is what I've got out here. And, they usually do the job, but man, just like everything, whether you're working on a car or anything else, man, sometimes it just doesn't go the way you want it to. Let's see. Noobs is out of here already, okay. The cloud over S&M is way better than Alright. Well, there's 5 folks in here watching all my fun. I appreciate y'all hanging out with me. Alright. This is our last piece of housing to cut. The brakes are actually hydraulic, and we're not changing the hydraulic lines. Alright, there's the old one in the trash. Alright. Threading in our cable inside the housing. Getting it back up into the frame here. And that's going to go there and there. And then we'll have to put our end cap on. Might as well wait until we mount our rear derailleur. Cool, that end cap will work with it though. Go ahead and put that on here. I like some of these end caps where they've kind of got like a long, kind of like a tail on them, where they'll go up inside things. It just kind of, another little extra barrier for kind of keeping crap out of the inside of the housing. Because anything that gets inside the housing is going to diminish the quality of your shifting for sure. Alright. Before we put the rear derailleur on, I want to go ahead and get the rear wheel back in the bike. That way we can put a gauge on the derailleur hanger and kind of make sure it's still in line. It doesn't look bent or anything, but I just kind of want to check it real quick, and it'd be way easier to do that way. So let's go ahead and set up our rear wheel. back together. So this is where I actually like using the simple green bike degreaser. I think it's great for wheels. It's really good for all that road grime and muck and that kind of stuff. The foam's great. And I'll just kind of hose my hub over a trash can. I'll hose around the outside of the rim. All right. It's beautiful. And then we go to town. We don't actually go to town, but we just wipe the wheel here in the garage. But this bike's gonna look so good when we're done, it'll be ready to go to town. Wipe the hub. So a lot of times when you know, sometimes you'll do this and you'll have your cassette and stuff on here. We're putting a new cassette on, so it's not on here. But if you take your rag and pull it out like this, and then use it like a piece of floss, you can get up in little nooks and crannies that are hard to get to. Now this is funny because now I'm 9-finger wrenching, so my hand's narrower. I can get up in the hub easier with my little hand now and get in there and wipe the inside of the hub out. Hey, you gotta find the blessings. Gotta find the blessings in every challenge. That's my motto. Shoot, I'm thankful to be here tuning up a bicycle. I could have still not known I had cancer, waiting for it to come get me somewhere. But I was lucky and it was found, and I just had to lose a finger. Alright, and then after I end up wiping the rim and the hub good, you know, the rag's already got some simple green on it. Just go through and give all the spokes a little wipe. The microfiber towel is probably easier to do this with than like a terry cloth or something like that, because the terry cloth will pinch up in where the spokes cross each other. Your rag will get caught in there. All right. But that's a little improvement there on that. All right. Put this over here. Let me go grab this cassette. Anybody in here? Where's your 9-finger gloves? I know. I'm going to put on some gloves here in a minute when I start handling my rotors. Try to keep from getting any oils. We don't want any oils contaminating our rotors. We're going to be putting some fresh brake pads on here. So we're putting a new cassette on here. So earlier I was talking about chain wear. So chains, bicycle chains stretch over time. Every one of these little pivots gets wear. All right, as you get wear in every one of those little pivots, the chain gets longer and longer and longer. By the time you take 116 links and all those pivots on the length of a chain, chains will grow as much as a link and a half, you know, just in overall length. Well, that changes the position that mates up to your chain rings and your your sprockets on your cassette, and that's what causes wear on those items. So the more you stay on top of changing your chain, the longer your other components will last. They make little tools. That's a chain checker. I can put that in a chain, and that is basically would slip in there. That's 75% wear right there. The other side is pretty much 100% wear. It's not quite going in on the 100% side. It'd be easier to do if I had it on the bike and I could tension it a little bit. But anyway, that's the general idea though, is to check your chain. As it starts showing that it's worn, change it. Because eventually, you'll end up having to change your cassette. Now, I don't know if I can show y'all on the camera. Let's see, let me get the light. I wish I could see this. Do you see how the tips, I don't know if you can see the little shiny spots. Man, I wish I could hold the light and the cassette. There we go. Oh, the shadow actually kind of helps even maybe. Right on the tip of, you'll start seeing mash, like metal mash. I don't know if you can tell my pick's kind of hanging on the end of it there. So when the tips of all those rings start getting all that metal mash, it's not really good on your shifting or, you know, especially if you got in like a muddy condition, you'd start getting what they call chain suck. But you can just see the mash on all those little teeth right there. And that's what you don't want to see. And when you do start seeing that, and you start seeing a wider opening here, and these little teeth right here get more pointed, then, you know, it's done. It's done, though. It's time to get rid of it. It has had a good life, but gotta go. But it's that same thing kind of on the chain ring on the front. These don't wear as fast as the cassettes, but they do wear over time. All right. I know all this fun stuff. Talking about all this fun stuff today. All right, so the free hub body on the wheel, it's got all these grooves. There's one wide one. There's one wide groove. And then on the cassette itself, you'll find a wide tooth. And that wide tooth is the one that you line up with the wide groove. It slides right on there. All right. Noobs is back. What's up? I'm trying to keep up with the chat as best I can, y'all. I'm sorry if I go a little while before I see you comment. I set my laptop over here behind me where I can glance over at it. And the cassette, you want to get it pretty darn snug. The cap has got little grooves in it, and the free hub body does. So that, or the cassette itself. So that's what you hear, are those little grooves kind of sliding over the top of each other. All right. We can go ahead and put our rotor back on here in just a second. Let me set that off to the side. Okay. We're going to glove up before we start handling our rotor. I went and cleaned it real good with like a Brillo pad and some super hot water. And then we're going to go ahead and probably douse it a little bit with some brake cleaner and dry it off and then put it on our wheel. Oh man, it's after 12 o'clock. It's about time I have a little brake cleaner in my life. Party time. Just want to try to make sure, since I'm putting brand new pads on here, I just want to make sure there's not any kind of contaminants. Because if you contaminate some brake pads, some brand new brake pads, man, it makes all kinds of racket and noise, and it's just not what you want. It's great to let people know you're coming down the trail, I guess. Not really what you want. Man, that is good brake cleaner too. That must be fresh. That's some of that fresh brake cleaner. Alright, there's no clocking or anything you got to worry about on your rotor. There is rotation though. You'll see arrows on there, so there's definitely a side that goes out or in. You can see by the way the splines are directed on the rotor. They're set up, whenever you hit that braking power, it's driving, the force is kind of, anyway, I'm no engineer. Just want you to know about putting your rotors on the right direction. Quite a few little screws that hold them on. Honestly, y'all, this is recovering and trying to do things. This is probably the one thing that I struggle with the most after losing a finger, and that's starting a bolt in the threads. I use my middle finger now like it's my index finger, and I don't think about it. But for whatever reason, lining up threads and getting them to start is a little bit of a challenge sometimes. Funny little things, man. Funny little things. And kind of like a wheel lug nut, we're going to do a little kind of star pattern here. I'm just going to tighten them down with a nugga-dugga. And then I'm going to go back around and check all the ugga-duggas. It's got a nice ring to it. Whoa. Got slipped off of it there. Alright, so we got our back wheel set up now. We can go ahead and put it back on the bike, get our skewer. Alright, I'm thinking about things that I've seen in the shop. Alright, skewers have these little conical springs on them. The fat side of the spring goes toward the fat nut. The skinny side of the spring goes towards the skinny axle. I don't know how many times I've seen bikes come in with the fat side put in, and which goes over the axle, and then when you try to get the wheel in the bike, it doesn't want to go. I've seen it so many times. So anyway, moving along. Moving right along. Man, I appreciate everybody hanging out with me today in the shop. It's really cool. Well, we got 2 people in here now. My viewership has dropped drastically. That's all good, I understand. This ain't like super exciting. Alright. You want to make sure the wheel's all the way up in the dropouts. And then get your skewer tension where you want it, and lock it in. Which I've actually got it on the wrong side. Your I don't know why, but your flipper actually goes on the non-drive side. I don't know why I put it in like that. So what I like to do myself is I'll close the skewer and just hold it up tight against the frame, and I'll snug the nut down, and then I'll open the skewer up and give it another little turn or two, and then start filling. I want to feel tension just past kind of halfway, and then that's usually about right. All right. What did I just do? I just knocked my tray off with my other rubber screws. Luckily I've got some more of those, but man, and that other little screw. I'll have to find that. Awesome. Such is the life of a positive mechanic. I'll find those in a little bit. Oh, there's one. One, two, three, four, 5, 6. Pardon me while I find this screw I dropped on the floor. It's a tough life. Alright. I'll have to go back and look for him in a minute. Moving along. Let's check this rear roller hanger. So this is a cool tool. It screws into the rear derailleur hanger where the derailleur screws, and then this gauge right here, you check it against the wheel. So it checks to see if the hanger is parallel with the wheel. So, real quick, I'm gonna set this down and just kind of double check and make sure I've got that wheel in the drop out really good. All right. Now, we'll thread this into our derailleur hanger here. So once you get it threaded in there, you just slide that little shaft over so it's close to the wheel, and then you can kind of start going around with it. I usually leave it kind of loose to where the wheel itself will kind of push the shaft out at the furthest point, which is basically right in here. Okay. So down here, I'm probably a ½ inch away from the wheel. Right here, I'm touching the wheel. Up there, I'm probably 3/8. On back down around to about a ½ All right, so I'm going to come around to where I'm touching the wheel. I'm just going to give it a little tweak. We're gonna loosen, push my shaft back against the wheel, and then we're gonna go around and check again. Oh, I'm only like an eighth away from it there now. I'm probably 3/16 away right there. I'm gonna come over here and give it a little push towards it. Kind of hitting right there. Let's give it just a little. This is very subtle. These drop out, the hangers, derailleur hangers. I mean, they're made out of aluminum, and it doesn't take much to move them. And you know, if it's been bent very badly, you just need to replace it. This one wasn't really bent bad. It just needed just a little tweak. Well, but like any aluminum, you know, once you bend it one way and then you bend it back, it's, you know, I don't know how much weaker, but it's a lot. It's a lot weaker. So you're just waiting for it to bend again, and then not long after a couple of bends, it breaks. So, moving on. We got that looking good. Where do we set that rear derailleur? We got two loyal people in here giving me some watch hours. I appreciate it. Coffee's cold now. Yeah, I've got I've got over 1,500 subscribers now, and I'm just below like 3,000 watch hours. I need like 1,000 more watch hours. It'll happen when it happens. I'm just trying to, my actual videos that I'm making, I'm trying my best to make, you know, some decent content. I try to learn how to edit and try to use cool non-copyrighted music and all that other fun stuff. It has been a learning experience, to say the least. All right. There's our rear derailleur cable. Just gonna come up here. Route it into our derailleur. Just like I did with the shifters. This rear derailleur's got a barrel adjuster. So I'm going to take that all the way in and then back it out like a, you know, half turn or so. A couple quarter turns. All right. This derailleur, I shouldn't have to do anything to it really as far as adjusting it, stops or anything like that. I should be able to just lock the cable down and it'd be fine. We'll talk about adjusting derailleurs here in a minute. There's definitely a process. So let's just talk about it before I lock this cable down. So, your derailleur's got 2 set screws. All derailleurs are going to have them. It's going to have a stop screw for one side of the range of motion and a stop screw for the other side. So your smallest cassette, you know, the outside, you want that derailleur lined up on that, and you want that stop screw right there. You don't want it to go past it or stop before it. Same thing on the big one on the other side. And then once you've got your stops set, you can get your cable, pull your cable tight, make sure your shifter's in the bottom position, pull your cable tight, lock it down. And then from there, you're just adjusting cable tension with your barrel adjuster just to get it indexed correctly where it lines up over each cog. And that's all there is to it. There's not really that much to setting up the rollers. I know for a long time to me it seemed like a magical mystery, but it's really not that bad. We may have to go ahead and kind of start running some zip ties, get some of our cable routing cleaned up a little bit, because I'm ready to go ahead and put a chain on here to where we can start kind of pedaling and stuff real quick. So let's get our zip ties out. I might give you some more little zip ties and get low. Cable management. Some more not exciting stuff, but does make the bike look a lot cleaner. I think I want a big zip tie for this one. Go. Excuse me. We'll be done with this in just a second. We can get on with some other stuff. Get this chain on. I think I'll use this bigger zip right there. Hold it a little bit better. Alright. Sweet. Anybody ever take and put baseball cards in their spokes? I know you did. Alright. That's more better. Alright, let's get trim that. Get that trimmed down. Our shift cables, I think we've got them in a pretty good spot. I'm going to go ahead and trim the length on those and crimp them. Put cable crimps on them. Get that cleaned up. Trying to figure out where to come at it. Got my car over here, so I can't walk all the way around the bike very easily. get your crimps on there, keep your cables from fraying. That fray will walk its way up the cable and ruin your shifting. Ruin it. Your shifting will be in ruins. We're doing the limbo back bend. There we go. Very nice. Okay, so I shifted it up. Now the pedal's hitting my cable. That's what I was checking. I'm going to see what it was doing there. So now I'm going to put a little bend on it and get it to where it stays out of the way. It's just a little something you typically need to do with your cables, kind of. Because they'll end up poking places where you don't want them to, making racket. Now let's go down and see what happens. And sometimes I'll even bring them up and put a zip tie on them right there. I may do that with this one, because that helps. Especially if you got one that's kind of dangling down in the middle, because then it ends up kind of like poking out both sides. It'll poke out one side in one position and poke out the other side in another. I swear. Come on. Oh. Just be smarter. There we go. Just be smarter. All right. Let's get our chain on. That's what we need to do now. So I'm going to take my old chain. I know you probably can't see me over here. I'm going to lay it out. This will be fun. We'll get the two chains next to each other and just see how much longer the old one is. This one was worn pretty good. I mean, it definitely wasn't the worst chain I've ever seen, but most people that haven't fooled with bicycles or not in that world, they don't realize how much a chain actually grows, stretches over time. Here, we'll get our poker. Let me get them sized. And we'll see how much they grow. Chain tool here. near as bad as what I have seen. I don't know. This might give you an example though, like, see how we're right together right there. You see how it's kind of starting to work its way off. And then by the time you get to the other end, I'm just not tall enough. But anyway. Let's get this new chain on here. Gotta thread it through the driller. Kind of watch to make sure you go through the right way too. There's a little tab inside the cage on the driller, and if you don't route it through there right, you'll know when you start pedaling. I say you will. I've seen bikes come into the shop that were like that, and people have been riding them. Like, how did you ride that? I know you heard it. Alright, so this has got one of those quick links on there where they slip together. So I like to get it on the top side of the chain and hold the wheel and make sure it's snapped into place. Alright. Let's shift it up into the big ring in the front. Yeah, we definitely gonna need to do some adjusting. Oh, we might tighten the cable. My ferrule wasn't in up here. But anyway. And the tire's almost rubbing on the rear derailleur, the front derailleur. Right there. So the stops, as far as setting the stops on your derailleur. So like right now, if I push this derailleur, my cables, I want it to stop right there and not let that chain drop on the inside between the spokes and the cassette. And when I let go of it, I want it to come all the way down to the bottom and stop down at the bottom. So like I was saying earlier, I think our stop is set pretty good. We'll go ahead and now we'll lock our cable in. Where's my 5? All right. So now whenever I shift, I want it to go up. Let's go ahead and, this is what I'm doing to tension that cable and make sure those ferrules are down. I'm holding the derailleur in place and I'm pushing on that shifter until it bottoms out, and then just applying some bouncing kind of pressure, which should seat all those ferrules on all the housing. Alright, so what I need to do now, loosen my bolt back up, my pinch bolt. Shift it all the way down, hold it tight, and lock it in place. tire's not seated all the way around or something. Anyway, that's a different squirrel. Different squirrel. Alright, it's shifting. That's pretty good. Alright. Alright, let's go ahead and tighten up this front one. Oh, this one. Oh, I need some pliers, I guess. I can hold that. Come here, pliers. Oh, I'm out of frame over here. There you go. I'm still here. Alright, that should be better. I need to go over there and see if anybody's chatting. Anybody saying anything? No? 3 folks in here. We're getting close to being done with this. Getting close. I appreciate y'all hanging out with me though. I do. Got a mess to clean up. I got a couple bolts I'm gonna have to find. Probably not gonna make y'all suffer through that. Wish you suffered through all this other stuff. Finally got that front derailleur cable fished through there. That was fun. Alright, let's see what happens now. Okay, that's better. Let's go ahead and put the pedals back on real quick. Put a little anti-seize. Just a little. Man, I hate to even open this jar. Stuff gets everywhere. Just want a nice little coating on the threads there. Pedals have a tendency to kind of get tight. Which pedal have I got here? maybe I'll put the other side. Pedals are, one side's reverse thread. Snugged up there. A little more anti-seize. Probably just gonna throw these gloves in the trash as soon as I finish this. I'll have that shit everywhere. It's like opening up a tube of silicone or something. It's gonna be everywhere. All right. Sounds like I hear people or something. It's nice having a cork board to work on, or a pegboard. Where you can just put all your tools back up real quick when you get too much stuff on your workbench. Every now and then you gotta kind of a little drop back and regroup, you know. All right. Alright, so that really seems to be way out of adjustment there as far as the stock goes. So I'm tightening the stop up. I've got the chain all the way to the biggest cog, closest to the middle of the bike in the back, and I've got it on the smallest ring closest to the middle of the bike on the front. I'm wanting to set this to where chain's not really rubbing on it, but whenever it drops back down, it'll stop it from falling off the inside. And that's brought it way over from the wheel there, because the tire was actually rubbing on the cage of the front derailleur. It was in so far. And now I'm doing the same thing. I'm bringing it all the way to the outside. There we go. It's not really rubbing. You're probably not going to see people in there. I mean, this is the biggest gear on the bike. So, probably not going to see people in that for an extended amount of time or anything. So we're going to have to add some more cable tension. Let's flip it back up. See if we can get a little more cable tension. Yeehaw. So did everybody get snow? Man, I hate it for them people in California. My goodness. That is crazy, having fires like that. All that dry brush. And freaking 100-mile-an-hour winds. Have you ever had like a fire pit and took your blower, leaf blower, and blown on your fire and seen what it does? I mean, that's basically 100-mile-an-hour winds with fires like that. I can't imagine. I mean, that's like a living hell. Literally. Living hell. Oh, man. That's what you want right there. That's what you want. I'm telling you. You want the shifting to be crisp. Pop, 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 pop. Man, that's what brand new cables and a brand new drivetrain will do. Take your bike work like that right there. That ain't halfway decent mechanic. You gotta have somebody that has a little bit of know-how and experience. Man, gotta get this front wheel back together and on. And I gotta change the brake pads. I forgot about that. I'll have to drop that wheel back out. Not a big deal. Not a big deal at all. Alright, here's our brake pads. Our skewer. That felt good. Pedal in the back. Clean up this front wheel real quick. All right. Man, a little cleaning just goes a long, long way. I used to think my cars drove better when they were clean. I swear it would feel faster. I don't know if it was true or not. Probably in my head. But it just felt like it was running better. Here's Eddie! Yo, Eddie. That's what I was saying earlier. My 9-finger hand works good for getting in here and getting that hub. Get the little hand. Use the strong hand. What are you doing today? You out on a gas run? You playing with goats? Getting rhinos stuck? I thought you were going to get the rhinos stuck yesterday. Everyone driving. We're coming back from Grenada. Still got to go to Boonville. Man, all those good folks down there in Mississippi need their gasoline, Ed. Trying to do our part. This climate change is never going to happen if we don't all chip in. Join together for climate change. Almost did. Yeah, you almost did. All right, wheels all cleaned up. Put me on some fresh gloves again before I start handling that rotor. Man, I think I still got to find some screws I lost a while ago. Can't believe I knocked that thing over. Here I was trying to be all smart. Everything I've done today trying to be smart is not going well. I don't know what that says. Maybe don't read into that. Don't read into that too much. All right. Going back into the land of the brake cleaner. Oh yeah. What a smell. It's the good stuff right there. Man, that's the real good stuff. I got that straight from my man at AutoZone. He said it was about the best. All right. Let's get a rotor on here. We're getting close to having this knocked out. I said that before, hadn't I? Reason I'm putting on fresh gloves, like we were talking about earlier, you know, you don't want to contaminate your rotor or your pads mostly with any kind of oils. Even the oils off your skin can screw things up. Oh good, I did find all the screws. I thought I didn't. I know there's one screw for a cable holder that goes on the bottom of the bottom bracket area that I don't see. I will have to hunt it down. All right. Dugga dugga. Dugga dugga. Dugga dugga. And another series of Dugga duggas. Just for good measure and fun. This poor little wall. All right. Go ahead and put our skewer back in. And then we're going to go ahead and change our pads real quick. And this bad boy will be basically done. Should have seen me outside in the snow washing this thing this morning. Actually, it wasn't that bad. I've always laughed when I saw pictures of people out in the Rockies, like, skiing and stuff in shorts, and thought it looked crazy, but it was kind of that way this morning. Went outside and the sun was shining, it was warm. I was in shorts. Okay. Brake pads. Keep me in line here. Go ahead and drop this wheel back out real quick. What are these guys? Looks like a 3mm. Yep. So it's just kind of like a little bolt that goes through the end of the pads and holds them in there. They come out the bottom. That's the reason you gotta take the wheel off. Come on. Come on out of there. Pads themselves are just kind of a little small. Kind of, I mean, just like a car, motorcycle, or whatever. Just they're just small for a bicycle. There's this little spring, just like on a car. Car's got little springs on top of the pads that keeps them pushed apart. These have this little spring that kind of does the same thing. Fancy schmancy, huh? So you just get your little pads, set it up on your little spring, like I had that one just a second ago, and then ever so gently slide it up in there. Boy, I messed that up. Get back out of there. Got him. Got him that time. Well. And there's my screw. There we go. And I just gotta put that back. Aha, there's another couple of zip ties I need to knock out real quick. No easier time than right now for those two. That's that rear hydraulic cable. It was hiding earlier, I didn't see it. Nice. Nice. I gotta hurry up and finish this. I gotta pee. Ugh. That feels good. Oh yeah. Man, that new brake pads. Man, and the brake pad feels so, the leather feels so much better. Those pads had worn down a good bit. You don't realize, it happens so slow over time. But that's a good solid feeling brake right there. I like it. Alright. I know some of my regular viewers are probably like, what in the world is he doing working on a bicycle? People that know me know what I'm doing, because they know I've been a bicycle guy for years. Encore. Man, you still hanging with me? Got 6 people in here. This vertical live stuff is a little different, you know. As people start scrolling through lives, it's kind of funny. Oh yeah, I need to get my old ones out. Rag in there. It's water in it. Oh God, there's our fresh, clean pads. Get our screw back in here. Nothing but a thing, nothing but a thing. This thing tight. Oh, that's crooked. Okay, that wheel in there crooked. I have trouble sometimes in the stand getting them in there just right. I usually have to set them on the floor and like open the skewer up and then lock it back down. So check this one. Yep. Alright, let's throw it back up in here. Check everything out one more time. That's awesome. Nice. Good brake feel right there. Alright. There you have it. I'm not going to lube the chain because it's still got the factory lube on there. We'll just let them go with that for a while. But man, we got it shifting good. New bottom bracket, crank, chain, cassette, new brake pads. Ready to rock and roll. Well, anyway, I appreciate y'all hanging out with me on this live stream. I don't know how long we've been in here. It's been a while, but I really appreciate y'all hanging out. I hope you've enjoyed watching me work on this bicycle. If it's something you're into, maybe I'd talk to you some stuff. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your Saturday, and we'll catch you next time. Peace. we out of here.